Hi guys, I'm meteorologist Alexandra Cranford getting you an update on Tropical Storm Delta, which formed Monday morning in the Caribbean Sea. So we'll go straight to our graphics and just get you the latest of what's going on as of 10 a.m. on Monday. We do have those two tropical storms, Gamma, which is weakening on Monday morning, and clearly you can see that the center, which the yellow circle is around, is almost over nothing as far as clouds and rain go. That's because the center is where the yellow circle is, but all of the sheared moisture is off to the northeast of the system. We are tracking Delta, of course, which is in the Caribbean Sea, and Delta has strengthened a little bit as we moved into Monday morning. So here are the forecast paths for these two storms. Note the big change in Gamma, first of all, that it barely has a little bit of a white circle there over Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. That's because it is expected to continue weakening, as it's really not a healthy system at all at this point. And then you can see Delta's path still with the cone of uncertainty, including everywhere from around the Texas-Louisiana state line all the way to the Florida Panhandle. So let's get into the details for what's going on with these two storms. First, I'll show you Delta because that's the one that we're watching in the southeast Louisiana area for potential impacts into Thursday and Friday. So we do have Delta that you can see here with showers and storms and those higher cloud tops around, and as of just the past few minutes to hours or so, forming off to the south and especially to the southwest of the center. So winds are now up to 45 miles per hour, gusts are up to 60, and it's moving west at 7 miles per hour, and it's not far from Jamaica at this point. It does look like it'll strengthen pretty rapidly in the northwestern Caribbean Sea because there's just not much to really hinder it. And it might, this is a new thing from the path at 10 a.m. Monday, be a Category 2 storm potentially when it gets into the Gulf late Tuesday night and early Wednesday morning. Right now you can see that Friday morning, that's the line where it will be very close perhaps to making landfall somewhere along the Louisiana coast, although you can see again that large area of uncertainty in the forecast path. And that will be the case likely until it really does enter the Gulf by late Tuesday night. There are some things to consider with dry air and possible interaction with Gamma, although Gamma is weakening, and that could maybe be a good thing for southeast Louisiana because it might not pull the storm farther to the west any more than it's going right now. So if the storm did move east, that would keep some of the more intense impacts on the eastern side of the storm, maybe outside of the southeast Louisiana general area. That's not to say that'll happen. I just wanted to point out that's one of the things that we're watching. And then the other thing for the other storm, of course, is Gamma. And here's the latest on Gamma. Gamma is really just sheared apart, moisture and rain and showers off to the northeast of the center. There have been these strong winds from the southwest here, tearing it apart, and just a ton of dry air that has really infiltrated this system. So looking at Gamma's forecast path, it is forecast to just kind of hover here in the same general area, maybe meandering off to the southwest, and probably will no longer be an organized tropical system at all by at least midweek. Here's a look, by the way, at all of that dry air that has been moving in, and this is in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. You can see that just a second while our graphic loads here. Our water vapor imagery with all this dry air and the TANs has really gotten way into Gamma. And look at the dry air also circulating around from the south and southeast as well. So that's sort of interesting to see. So the things that we've been saying, not much has really changed as of just the past couple of hours as far as big thinking with Delta. There are still uncertainties for Thursday and Friday, but Monday looks good. Tuesday and Wednesday for the New Orleans area will have more clouds, moisture goes up, it feels more humid, and we may have a couple of showers. But the bigger impacts really for most of the Gulf Coast and certainly for whatever area Delta ends up coming toward directly, most of those impacts will be, it looks like, Thursday and Friday, with maybe Friday morning, the critical time for a potential landfall. So that would include rain, wind, and possible coastal flooding. In fact, probable coastal flooding. It just kind of depends on where exactly that will set up. So let me show you just a couple of things that I've been looking at. For example, if you're wondering how much rain we might get, I wanted to show you the European model. is forecasting as we move into Sunday about maybe 2 to 4 or so inches of rain. Please take these with a grain of salt. These are just kind of just raw numbers from these different models. But 2 to 4 inches is manageable for sure. This is the American GFS model showing a little higher. We'll say 2 to 5 or so, maybe closer to 6. But again, that is manageable. I think if it were to be spread out, we'd have to watch for any heavy rain bands that would just dump a ton of rain in a short amount of time over some locations. But, you know, overall, that's not really extremely high rain totals. And there are a few factors that we've been talking about. One is the presence of dry air in the Gulf, which is right now just making gamma almost just vanish as far as, you know, pointing out where the center is and so forth. It's very difficult to see a very organized tropical system with gamma. Another thing is the sea surface temperatures in the extreme northern Gulf near the coast are only in the 70s because of all these fronts that we've been getting, these October and indeed September cold fronts that we've had moving through and delivering drier air with northerly winds. And that has actually brought those Gulf temperatures down way into the 70s. Now, to get tropical formation, you need temperatures, sea surface temperatures of 78 or 79 and higher. The thing is, you can see those 80s over the southern part of the Gulf and in the Northwest Caribbean, right where Delta is going to be moving. So it certainly has the chance to strengthen, and we're anticipating it indeed to strengthen into a Category 1 and probably then Category 2, maybe Category 3. Don't want to completely rule that out at this point, but it looks like at least Category 1 to 2 storm in the Gulf. But when it reaches the northern Gulf Coast and gets close to the coast itself, it will have those cooler waters and it won't have as much fuel to continue strengthening. That's the thinking at this point. And that's why the National Hurricane Center kind of caps the strengthening potential for Delta at the end of the period, especially toward days 4 and 5. Notice that Thursday morning, it has 105 mile per hour winds, even maybe late Wednesday. And then by Friday, it has slightly lowered winds to 100 miles per hour. So it's interesting to see that there may actually be, and it's showing up in the National Hurricane Center forecast officially at this point, some weakening expected, possibly at least limiting strengthening, it looks like. So that would be a good thing, but it certainly won't just cause this storm to just evaporate or completely fall apart, it looks like at this point. So these are the things that we're watching right now. If you're wondering about the arrival of the winds and the timing of this, the arrival of tropical storm force winds probably wouldn't happen until maybe late on Wednesday night, but especially Thursday. So this has been pushed back a little bit. That's one of the changes with the 10 a.m. advisory too, is that we're now looking at maybe a Friday morning, roughly, landfall. That could change. I just want to point out there are all these uncertainties. So none of this is really set in stone at this point, but somewhere along the Gulf Coast by early Friday, it does look like there will be probably a hurricane, either Category 1 or maybe Category 2, bearing down with potential impacts for those areas. So this would be the low-end chance for tropical storm force winds showing up in the green over New Orleans by late Thursday. But then look at Friday. As that storm, of course, moves inland, it would necessarily spread those stronger winds inland as well. So this would take us into Friday, where there's a decent chance, you can see maybe 80 to 90% chance for those tropical storm force winds at least off of our coast, if not inland too. So again, as I pointed out, there are different things that we've been watching that are still uncertain. For example, a little bit of the gamma interaction, although we're getting a little bit of a clearer look that it is weakening. So again, that could be a good thing potentially. There's a trough of low pressure that's going to be eventually shifting Delta off to the northeast. And that's why that curve is there. And also the presence of dry air. So for now, we'll say tropical impacts, this is not set in stone. This will likely change at least a bit. Thursday to Friday, and I put Saturday in there just in case, but it looks like actually a lot of the impacts may be finishing up as far as rain and so forth on Saturday. It may be especially Thursday, and the main day would be Friday, I think. And then coastal flooding and wind will be something that we'll need to watch 2. The coastal flooding, it's just really hard to say, to put a number on how many feet or, how high the tides will run exactly for that Thursday and Friday timeframe, just because we're not exactly sure where it will end up. But I think we will know more once it does enter the Gulf, because some of the uncertainty is also just where its actual position will be when it enters the Gulf on Tuesday night. So that's something we will need to watch as well. So we have these 2 systems that we are watching closely. Just getting you the update as of 10 a.m. Monday, the 2 tropical storms, and a quick check on just the rough outlook of what to expect. For now, if you have plans Thursday and Friday, I would say, yeah, we'll probably get some rain, and there may be coastal flooding and wind impacts too. Tuesday and Wednesday are looking okay. So if you do have any preparations, you have a couple of days, and we all have a couple of days at least, to watch the system as it enters the Gulf. But we really should be prepared by Thursday and Friday for rain at least. And again, potential storm surge or coastal flooding and the wind, but depends on exact location of the system when it ends up. The landfall, again, looks like at this point, perhaps Friday morning, anywhere along the Louisiana coast, all the way to the Florida Panhandle. So certainly a time to kind of think about and get your preparations ready if you need to do that in the next day or 2. Today looks beautiful, and then Tuesday and Wednesday look pretty quiet. More clouds, though, and a couple of showers, and this may all be somewhat wrapping up by Saturday. So thank you guys for joining me. I am going to get to my graphics, and we'll have another update coming up on Channel 4 on our noon news, so I hope you'll join me for that. And we'll have many more updates, of course, coming up with all these advisories coming out, and we'll be with you guys through this 6th tropical threat that the New Orleans has had so far this hurricane season. So thanks for joining me, guys. We'll have much more coming up for you, and stay tuned into the end of the week. We'll know more in a day or so as far as nailing down some of those specific impacts that we can expect. So take care. Hope you have a good rest of your Monday, and we'll have more coming up for you.